It was supposed to be a quiet evening in the park, a moment of calm under the fading sunset. But in just a few minutes, a black man's peaceful walk turned into a nightmare. Surrounded by flashing lights and heavy footsteps, he found himself in handcuffs, accused of crimes he hadn't even heard of. The crowd whispered, the officers pressed harder, and assumptions drowned out his voice. He wasn't just being arrested. He was being humiliated in front of strangers. But what no one knew was that this man carried a truth powerful enough to shake the system. Watch until the end. Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. His name was Marcus Williams, a respected man whose life was built on discipline, education, and justice. By day, he spent countless hours in courtrooms, studying law, shaping arguments, and standing firm for fairness. But on this particular evening, Marcus wasn't wearing a suit or carrying a briefcase. He was dressed in simple workout clothes, enjoying a jog in his neighborhood park. The rustling of the trees and the laughter of children filled the air. And for a moment, it felt like the world was as it should be, equal, safe and peaceful. Marcus had always known, though that reality wasn't so kind. He had grown up in a world where skin color dictated assumptions, where people looked at him and saw a threat before they saw a human. Still, he believed education, persistence, and the law itself could be his shield. He never imagined that the very system he trusted would turn against him so suddenly. As he slowed his pace by the fountain, he didn't realize eyes were already watching, ready to judge. The patrol car rolled into the park with a low growl, headlights sweeping over benches and trees until they landed on Marcus. Two officers stepped out, their hands already resting near their belts. "You fit the description," one of them muttered, eyes narrowed. Before Marcus could even ask what they meant, they demanded his ID, questioning why he was there, what he was doing, and where he was heading. Marcus calmly explained. He lived nearby, was out for a jog and had nothing to hide. But his words seemed invisible. The more he spoke, the more suspicious they appeared to become. Within minutes, the questions turned into accusations. A wallet in his pocket was labeled evidence, and his phone was labeled suspicious. A bystander began recording, sensing something wasn't right. But even that didn't slow the officers down. They cuffed him roughly, ignoring his protests, ignoring his calm demeanor. To them, he wasn't Marcus Williams, the brilliant legal mind admired in courtrooms. He was just another black man in the park after dark. Strangers gathered, some whispering sympathy, others staring coldly as though confirming their own biases. The humiliation cut deeper than the steel around his wrists. In that moment, Marcus realized something painful. His degrees, his achievements, his very identity meant nothing against the shadow of prejudice. He was being reduced to a stereotype, crushed under assumptions he could not control. But what none of them knew was that tomorrow, in the very courthouse downtown, the roles would reverse, and the same officers who sneered at him tonight would face a truth too heavy to deny. The next morning, the courtroom was filled with anticipation. The officers, confident in their arrest, waited to testify. The prosecution prepared its notes, believing the case was solid. The doors opened, and silence fell. Marcus Williams entered, not in handcuffs this time, but in the flowing black robe of authority. He was not the defendant. He was the judge. Gasps rippled across the room as recognition set in. The very man they had dragged through the park like a criminal now stood above them, holding the gavel that symbolized power and justice. The officers' faces drained of color. Every eye in the room turned toward Marcus, waiting to see how he would respond. He didn't need to shout, didn't need to seek revenge. His presence alone spoke louder than any argument. Justice had entered the room, unapologetic and undeniable. That day, Marcus presided over the case with a calm, unshakable authority. He did not let anger cloud his judgment, though his heart carried the weight of humiliation from the night before. Instead, he let the law speak, firm, impartial, but with the unspoken truth that prejudice had already poisoned the process. The irony was impossible to ignore. A man arrested without cause, judged in public, now holding the power to judge those who had wronged him. For many in the courtroom, It was a moment that exposed the raw reality of racial bias, how easily a life could be reduced to a false label, and how dangerous those assumptions could be. Marcus knew his story wasn't unique. It was the story of countless others who didn't wear robes, who didn't have platforms, whose voices were silenced before they could ever be heard. His experience was proof of how deep the injustice ran. As he struck the gavel, the sound echoed like a call for change. How many more times would this cycle repeat before the system finally saw beyond skin color? Where are you watching from? What country? What city? Take care.